On the shores of Hōnaunau Bay, in Kapalilua, is one of the most sacred places in all of Hawaii. We know it as a Puʻuhonua, a sanctuary protected by Lono, our god of life.
But the good spiritual meaning is that a pu'u is like a building up, or it could be a hill or a mound. And honua is land. But in our case, it would be the rising of consciousness.
We call this place of rising consciousness Puʻuhonua, or Hōnaunau. For hundreds of years, this Puʻuhonua provided refuge for those who have broken our sacred laws. It was also a place of healing for those striving to once again be whole. But becoming whole meant taking a journey, one that could often mean life or death. Many years ago, Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau was surrounded by war. Rival chiefs clashed for control of the island and its abundant resources.
Hawaii was a paradise, but they had territorial disputes and differences. They had some fierce fighting going on, a lot of bloodshed. But if you could make it to the Puʻuhonua, it's kind of like a safe house.
This warrior has been defeated in battle, but he is not yet ready to die. In pursuit are enemies who believe this high-ranking warrior has violated our sacred laws.
Warrior is, wow, I've got to get to this refuge. I need to basically save my life so I can continue to do that, to serve that duty towards my people. So I can continue to protect them.
His first attempt would be to get to the ocean.
You've probably been on the run for weeks. No water, dehydrated.
I'll do whatever I can to get out there. I might have to run over a mile of all this rugged lava.
You know, the warrior comes to those cliffs and he's looking across Hōnaunau Bay, looking into this refuge.
The Puʻuhonua in Hōnaunau is surrounded by a great wall. And on that great wall, they would have two flags, one on each end, and there would be white flags signifying that if you were in trouble, you had to get to the Puʻuhonua.
For the fallen warrior, there is only one way to get there.
Hit that water and to just have all this adrenaline kind of pushing him.
And then he swims for miles. That may take him days to get to land again.
His feet are all cut up. There's the potential of sharks.
Hyperventilating, weak, no food, no water. You know, you either give up and get killed, or you stay strong and you keep going.
all the odds are against him. So it was a huge challenge, and only a great warrior could succeed. Once he gets in the area, he sees the flag, he knows where he has to be. He lands on Akahi Papa Flat, and he is safe.
He may be safe, but that doesn't mean he is ready to trust.
Within the Puʻuhonua, there was what we call the kahuna. And in this case, it's the kahuna pule. He's a spiritual expert, a spiritual priest.
For the warrior, it is a time of great confusion. Yet there are signs that Lono, our god of life, overlooks this place. The warrior has transitioned from a place of war to a place of peace.
I can just imagine the sort of the sense of freedom, you know, just washing up there. That like, wow, all this that was behind me, all this is kind of like released.
Accepting aloha from complete strangers is the first step at the Puʻuhonua.
Rehabilitation of the physical body is first. And so you take the physicalness, you feed them, they get fed well, they're able to take care of themselves now. And then it's the mental side that's the real recovery.
It is not the only Puʻuhonua. At one point, there were many others scattered across the Hawaiian Islands. But Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau was the most famous of them all. Next to the Puʻuhonua is the Royal Grounds, a place Hawaiians call Kauwalomalie. This was the very seat of Hawaiian royalty. Protecting the royal grounds is the Great Wall, an imposing barrier 1,000 feet long, 10 feet tall, and 17 feet wide. Visitors to the royal grounds are looked upon with suspicion and fear. Disputes among rival chiefs, who were sometimes blood relatives, often had to be settled here. The chiefs are part of a noble class we call ali'i.
The ali'i were looked upon as god kings. And really what that meant was, as descendants from the gods, they were also in themselves reflections of the gods. So a living representative of the divine world, the supernatural.
It was ritual for visiting royalty to take part in a ceremony we call ka'ali'i. A warrior hurls a spear at the visiting chiefs. Deflecting the spear means he can now be invited into the royal grounds. Inside, the visiting chief shares the sacred communal drink called ava. In this sharing, all confirm their desire to put differences aside, to heal and to renew in this place of rebirth.
So the royal grounds was epicenter for the social development of those chiefly classes. And of course you have the sort of religious epicenter there as well. That was a very big part of chiefly life.
Only ali'i and their servants of royal descent are allowed within the royal grounds. Commoners, the maka'ainana, are strictly forbidden. It's all part of an ancient code of conduct we call kapu.
Kapu means forbidden, and it does refer to a set of laws, sacred laws, that were brought to us from Polynesia.
Kapu brings order to our society. The laws also protect natural resources that help us survive. But kapu also comes with severe consequences.
If a chief walked by here, as a commoner, I could not look directly at him. The punishment was death.
Other violations of kapu often come with the same penalty.
From the 21st century lens, the kapu would be extremely rigid. And whenever this chief would walk in a public space, anyone who was within eyesight of this chief had to be face down on the ground, totally covering their head, not moving. It was called the prostration tabu.
And the reason for that was the chief is full of mana, or sacred power, and that if you got into his space, you would be drawing away some of that mana, or spiritual power.
This place, Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau, represents the pinnacle of spiritual power. Just beyond the Great Wall from the royal grounds is the Puʻuhonua itself. The sanctuary is not just for those who went against kapu. It is a safe haven for women, children, and elderly displaced during war. Defeated warriors who endured physical rigors to get here now begin a spiritual odyssey.
You're sort of like an infant, just learning to walk and talk and crawl, and you're going through all your stages of growth again.
The relationship between the kahuna and the warrior would be one of love. And sometimes even a disciplined kind of compassionate love. During the process, the kahuna would not only just be teaching as a teacher would teach someone in a classroom, but also setting an example. So the priests themselves had to exude what a Puʻuhonua stood for.
What the Puʻuhonua stood for is wisdom, humility, and hope. Here, one can feel the presence of Lono and be spiritually transformed. In time, he accepts the teachings of the kahuna and begins to once again trust. It is a time of healing and renewal. It is also a time of reflection.
When the warrior's in the Puʻuhonua, he now has a chance to appreciate the beauty of the landscape. And the thing about the Puʻuhonua is that it is such a sacred spot.
Perhaps the most sacred spot in all of Hawaii. This is why. Within Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau is Haleo Keawe. Built around 1600, this is our island's royal mausoleum.
At one time, the Haleo Keawe temple housed the bones of 23 chiefs.
And that's what gave the place a spiritual power called mana.
Mana is embedded in the very bones of the chiefs. Like a heartbeat, mana pulses throughout the Puʻuhonua, providing for all who seek refuge here. Surrounding Haleo Keawe are 12 carved images called ki'i.
The ki'i, or the statues of how we interpret our gods through the physical world.
They represent different aspects of Lono. Lono, god of agriculture, god of farming, god of the wind, god of the clouds, the god of peace, and the god of life. He gave people a second chance to life. And the chiefs at the time, they wanted to give people a second chance to life.
A second chance is what the Puʻuhonua is all about. For our warrior, the spiritual transformation is nearly complete.
And the journey out was very much like the journey in. Leaving the Puʻuhonua was that sort of coming full circle.
I believe that the warrior will be leaving with a higher consciousness, particularly that the practices that are associated to Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau.
His enemies will no longer do him harm. They recognize and understand the transformative power of the Puʻuhonua.
It's like starting over as a seed. You're gonna sprout and grow and blossom and become something else again. You have a chance of going back to reach your full potential again through the healing process of the Puʻuhonua. Puʻuhonua o Hōnaunau National Historical Park, in a very fitting way, has again sort of become a refuge in today's modern world. It's not just a Hawaiian place, but it's a world place. It's something that we gladly would like to share with the rest of the world.
You know, we all deserve a second chance, somehow.
The sacred temple, Haleo Keawe, no longer houses the bones of our ali'i, but its mana remains.
What it is still a heiau and still a sacred place where Hawaiians and other people from around the world come to honor Hawaiian gods and the god Lono, the god that we represent the most in our park.
Their bones are not there anymore. The essence remains. Those are my ancestors.
Ako ele ele avelehu kamalama noho ima kali li kahana aya he falahi hiki mai kalani naue we kahonu ai kahana ke ola